Hey guys, I'm back. How is everyone today? I hope everybody is well. Today I want to talk to you guys about globalization. I'm inspired. I gave a talk at a private school out in Brooklyn today. Shout outs to Camet Prep. I spoke to the 12th grade students about consciousness in fashion. And I guess when we say consciousness in fashion, it's most easily translated to ethics, sustainability. That's a word that's buzzing around the fashion industry a lot, sustainability. And when we think about that, we think about three criterion usually: environmentalism, social aspects, and economic sustainability. So we talked a bit about, all three, and usually what's focused on in the industry is the environmental side. There's a lot of talk about eco-textiles and, green this or green that, and, dye process, leather making, organic cotton farming, things of that nature. Everybody knows, and everybody's always focused on the economic side because, we want it to make dollars and cents. But when we talk about the social side and the impact on communities and the community at large and people around the world at large, being that the fashion industry is, one of the world's leaders in employment, in people working in the industry, and we had that tragedy with Rana Plaza not too long ago. We think about the social side, but within the social side, there are, different topics, and one that I really care about is the cultural part. Cultural sustainability is very important to me, and that is, I guess, a topic that is maybe not easily defined or not often considered. So I had a chat with the students today about a number of things falling under those three criterion, and I came home and, I was thinking about my great day, and they really inspired me a lot. And I started to think about globalization because, we are living in a globality, so they call it. Globalization is supposed to be this wonderful thing, which I do think it's a wonderful thing. But when I look at fashion, I see something that is somewhat troublesome to me. And that is the fact that everywhere I go, everywhere I've lived, I tend to see the same stores. And while I think it's wonderful that, I can just as easily grab an H&M t-shirt if I need one in Dubai, as easily as I can do it in New York, I can grab a skirt from Zara, etc. I am troubled because I know that in the world, and when it comes to marketing and it comes to influence, there tends to be lopsidedness in favor of the dominant society. So while it's wonderful that you can get your Louis Vuitton in Paris, but you can also get it in China or Barbados for that matter, my concern is, why is it so difficult to get a Bongiwe Wulaza dress in New York? Why is it so difficult to track down a specific Chinese designer after seeing their garment on a blog? It seems as though the first world is exacting dominance in globalization, which is nothing new, and I'm not knocking it. Commerce has to flow, and usually the big fish, they come out on top, and most of the companies that are doing it big in fashion are doing it big. They're mass producing, they're very well known. Obviously they are going to want to maintain that dominance in the marketplace, but what does that mean for artisans? And what does that mean for culture? Because I love to dress up. I love to pull things from different cultures while respecting the culture and giving credit. Can we stop with the appropriation? Shout out to Valentino. Yeah, so I love this. I love learning about cultures and people and places through their clothing, through their costume. And I put costume like this because it really irks me. Sometimes I see people wearing things and they're like, oh, I love to dress up in national costume. And my thing is, depending on where is being referenced or what item a person is wearing, costume, it just sounds a little bit condescending. Because if somebody is wearing it every day, is it costume? If the majority of women in India are wearing a sari, or a kurti for that matter, why are we now calling it costume when we go there and we put it on? I don't know, it just seems a little bit disrespectful, but maybe I'm sensitive. So I'm very concerned about this because as I've traveled, I've noticed that there is a tendency for young people to leave behind old traditions. You know, they associate things with, oh, well, my parents wore that and my grandparents wore that. And I'm not in any way saying that, you know, we as young people should be wearing things the way our grandparents wore them. But I think it's very important to keep cultural traditions alive. And I think that apparel is one of the most immediate ways to keep culture alive. It's an educational tool. It can be a voice for social change. And it just makes the world interesting. I mean, I think personally it would suck to travel all the way to Chichicastenango and no longer be able to see women in huipil. And everybody's wearing jeans and t-shirt, shorts and t-shirt, cut off shorts and t-shirt, you know? It's like, that's not what I came here for. I'm not one of those resort tourists. I want to go out. I want to, you know, be part of the culture, experience it, see it. I want to be taught why you wear it, when you wear it, etc., you know? And like, how many of us have friends and neighbors that are, you know, sorry, my phone is ringing, excuse me. How many of us have neighbors that are Indian, but we don't know what a kurti is? How many of us have Korean friends or have been to a Korean wedding and don't know what a hanbok is, maybe never even saw one, because certain traditions are not being kept alive, or we are not expressing interest in learning about our neighbors and their cultures. It's very concerning to me, you know. This is the making of a very boring world when we start to forget our roots and we just adopt the dominant idea on dress, on food, on music, you know. And of course, I'm not saying that the whole world is awash, but I mean, let's be honest. In terms of marketing, in terms of pop culture, a lot of what's imported is very Americanized. And I'm not saying that culture, that fashion culture is American, not at all, but it definitely is north of the equator. It definitely is first world. I hate these classifications. What makes one world first and the next third? I mean, I don't need to talk about GDP and things like that. I know what the criterion says. I'm just saying in terms of the way we think about things and the language that we use. What are we communicating about one another? So, yeah, you know, Zara, H&M, it's great. Nike, it's wonderful. Those places, those brands, they have a place, and you know, for a lot of us they're staples. But what about the artisans? What about the people who still make indigenous clothing? What about you know, sorry, it escapes my mind, Chopin, you know, from Central Asia. This is a beautiful garment. I've yet to see one. I've yet to see one in person. But I know this is something that people, you know, wear in certain places. So it kind of gets at me that certain things are so readily available and easily accessible in all parts of the world, and other things are not, because it seems like globalization is working in favor of one, you know, group, one culture, one idea, and that is us in North America, in Europe, etc., but it's not working in favor of the other. And I, for one, you know, I'm a first generation Canadian living in the United States, previously living in South Africa, and I know that for my younger cousins, for my future children, I want to pass culture on to them. And I don't just mean beaver tails and poutine. Yes, I want to pass my Canadian culture on, but I also want to pass my parents' culture on. I'm a first generation Canadian. If you have a African lion and you move it to a zoo in Seattle and it has a baby, is it no longer an African lion? So I encourage everybody to uphold their traditions, their cultural traditions. I uphold people to just think about it, you know? Ask your neighbor. When you see somebody wearing something and you know it's from their homeland or it's from their parents' homeland, or maybe it's not, but it's something interesting that they found on a trip or a gift, ask about it. Let's talk about it. Let's share it, because globalization should not mean a homogenous world. That is a very scary thought. Let's keep globalization beautiful. Let's allow it to be a tool for us to share without appropriating one another's cultures. And yeah, let me know in the discussion area below what your thoughts on. Does it matter to you? Are you bothered by the fact that maybe some of your own cultural traditions are seemingly becoming a thing of the past? Or are you just happy that you can get a Celine bag somewhere else because, you know, I don't know, whatever. Let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you again next time. Ciao.